Pat Lynch. This is Women's Radio. I'm really glad that you showed up for this particular interview that we're going to do with Dr. Bijoy John. He's a specialist in sleep, and particularly, as he said, he focuses a lot on women and their ability to sleep. Now, we hope we're actually attracting a few men in our audience again. And it's really for everybody. But of course, women do have special issues, and he's going to address some of that today. Now, I don't want to take too much time away. He is board certified physician, of course. He's been practicing sleep specialty for about 25 years. He's a pulmonary critical care and sleep medicine specialist. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Bijoy John to Women's Radio. Hi, Dr. John.
Hello, Pat. Thanks for this opportunity. And this is a great opportunity for me. My mom taught me how to sleep, so I'm passionate about women's sleep, women's health. So I dedicated a chapter on women's sleep in my book. So women's sleep is very nuanced. From a young age, the association with the periods, you have pain, you don't sleep well. Then the influence of social media. Then you have childbearing, pregnancy, you don't sleep well. Then have a child. Then you have a job, and then finally, when things are good, your children become teenagers. You worry about them. And also then comes the menopause. It's a complete mess. Menopause is so hard on women, and women's sleep is gone. So 2/3 of all my clients who don't sleep well are women for the many reasons that I mentioned. And women by nature are, they are caregivers, and they tend to take the burden of the world, and they worry and they take it to bed. So I'm debunking all the myths. I'm giving them important strategies how to sleep. So my mom taught me how to nap, so I am obligated to get this message to empower women to sleep better.
Well, all the things you mentioned, it sounds like, oh, it's just one thing after the next. Yeah, I think maybe when we were in heaven, we didn't get this message, and we said, oh, I think it'd be fun to be a woman, and we come down, and then it's just one little thing after another. And you're right, women do have a lot of trouble, whether they're younger or whether they're older. It's another phase, and we seem to have a lot of difficulty. So tell us, I know you have I'd say tricks, but you have programs that you can teach people. And as a matter of fact, a lot of this is in your new book that's coming out right
Yes,
away.
that's the 7 proven sleep strategies. So I also have an acronym for that. It's called the Sleep Now. So the viewers can take it down. And I also have a course on my website, sleepfixacademy.com. So people can just take the course and just, empower them. I also have a lot of information like to maintain a sleep journal and also sleep assessment that's available on my website, also on my book. So once you have a pattern, you visualize. We are all creatures of visualization. Once you look what you're doing, then you can implement the change, right? So that's my mission, and I've helped hundreds and hundreds of folks over the years, and I know it works. I've been a victim of poor sleep myself, but I've found a way. Life happens to all of us, but if you have a foundation, at a base level, then you can build up. I'm also passionate about children's sleep, because once you sleep as a child, and then when you grow up, life happens. Like when I was in med school, when my mom passed away, and when I started my business, when I was writing this book. But then I know my foundation, so I'm able to get back on it. So I'm so passionate about teaching so young children to sleep, because young children are sound sleepers. So till 20, you should be, at least till you go to college, you should be like the best sleeper. So I found out the majority of the children who don't sleep well have some psychological, mental health issue. Because if your child, high school or middle school child, is not sleeping, that's a cry for help. There's something else. So I tell people, stop everything what they are doing, whether it's academics, athletics, or whatever they're pursuing. You have to pull them back and see why the child is not sleeping, right? Once you go to college, the sleep is all messed up because of the clock shift, and they schedule the classes. So very, very important clue. If you don't listen to anything today, if your child, as parents, if your child is not sleeping, I'm talking about high school, middle school children, they're not sleeping, you have to stop everything. Make sure that's a cry for help. There's something else in that child, because sleep gets worse after 18 or 20. We all know that. But till 20, it is guaranteed. So please make sure your children are sleeping. And if they have a problem, please address that.
That reminds me, I had another guest on recently, and we were talking about the rise in children's suicide. I mean, I
Oh,
can't even really contemplate that. And I wonder if what you're just saying about children who are having sleep difficulties have emotional difficulties somewhere that haven't been addressed. And I'm wondering if there's some connection between those.
absolute. So a lot of parents, my friends, they say, "Hey, my child is not sleeping well. I need to come and see." So many of them say, but nobody comes to see me because the children are so busy. And actually, what happened is one of those children went to college and ended it all, just like what you said. And I was so devastated. I was like, I got to get this message. So I called all the rest of the parents because as a physician, I cannot solicit. So, but I had to cross the line and call their parent and say, whoever said, "Hey, I need a pre." So they all brought my children, and all of them had depression and anxiety.
Ah,
So there's underlying. So as parents, we have to know that, and that's the important message I say in my book, to get this word around. So lack of sleep and poor sleep in children is it's deeply associated with emotional and psychological and issues. I'm
and
glad we touched on it.
I think that people's mates ought to be that concerned about the women in their lives too. Women absorb a lot of emotional things from other people. They're always, in a sense, trying to make everything right, keep the family happy, et cetera, et cetera. And you're right, life happens, and I think women have a lot of anxiety. The things do,
Correct.
and as you
Mhm.
get older, more things happen. I mean, like people start dying in your family, and that's traumatic, and just various things. I mean, if you're in business, business can be traumatic. So
Yes.
uh, what do you do to counsel both the women and also their mates or their partners, et cetera, to so that people are getting sleep at least that can help them overcome some of the anxiety and the stress in their lives?
Perfect question. So, many nights my wife has been up and she will say, "Did you know our son or your daughter came past curfew? Did you know there was a thunderstorm? Did you know that a dog was barking?" I said, "I don't know." So women are light sleepers, and the higher incidence of anxiety is also more in women. And what happens, and that, see, anxiety provokes bad sleep, and that creates sleep anxiety, and then it's a vicious
See?
cycle. So somewhere along the line we have to break that. So, and also a lot of people are sleeping separately because men are over there snoring because men's larynx is bigger. It's like a trumpet, so the sound is amplified.
Oh,
And that's why men get help more, because the snoring is an annoyance, and most of the time the spouse tells them to. Women's snoring is much milder because the larynx is smaller, and also the estrogen protects women till. But right after menopause or perimenopausal, women gain an average about 7 to 8 pounds, and then you are at risk for sleep apnea, and then the increase is higher. Remember, bed is only for sex and sleeping. Most people are either worrying or snoring. So I will discuss my 7
you're right.
strategies to debunk that. So let me know when you're ready for that.
Well, I want you to hold your beautiful book up. I think that's one of the best covers I've seen in a long time. I want people to get a visual of this wonderful book. Nobody's sleeping. Yep, it's a problem. It's a problem. And this is just coming out right now, and it's already gotten wonderful reviews, and I can't wait to read it myself. So tell us about the 7 strategies that you have.
All right. So it's called Sleep Now, SLEEPNOW. So I've combined N and O together. So S is for schedule. We all, for any plan, even as a business plan in life, we have to have a plan. The schedule is the most important thing. I get asked, "Dr. John, what's the best time to go to sleep?" I tell to dedicate between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. to sleep. So this is a little caveat. Do you know what, Pat, when people go to bed at 10, they can't fall asleep till midnight? Do you know what they do?
Really?
They go to bed earlier, so now you're struggling from 9 to 12, and then the bedroom becomes a torture chamber. I tell people this is an important strategy. It's called sleep restriction. You got to go to bed closer to the time you fell asleep. So if you are going to bed at 10 and finally falling asleep close to midnight, go to bed around 11:30. But here's the most important thing: wake up at 6 a.m. So I'm trying to create a sleep pressure. So what do people do? They struggle, they go to bed, and then they snooze the button. I don't want you to, when you're going through the sleep restriction, the first 2 weeks are absolutely hard. They don't like me, they don't like themselves, but if you get through, you will get over that. So that's the schedule. Next is in the L is low light, low noise, low temperature. Remember, the melatonin is mela is darkness. The word, it only gets secretes in low temperature and low light. The cell phone we're going to talk about, the light from this phone is a problem. So make sure your bedroom is colder and darker. So the next SLE is no to electronics. I tell people not to have electronics at least 30 minutes prior to going to sleep. What happens to the light, especially in the bedroom? There's no ambient light, so the light from the phone is amplified and goes into the brain and tells the brain, hey, it's still daytime, so you're not able to sleep. And also, if you have your phone, I tell people to keep it far away. I keep it in my bedroom. I'm sorry, I'm keeping it in my bathroom, so I have an alarm to wake up at 6 or 6:30, so I have to literally walk. I don't hit the snooze button. And also in the middle of the night when you wake up, oh, it's 3 o'clock. It's only 3 o'clock, so you have the cognitive activity. So if you don't have access to it, that's great. So moving along is the next E is exercise at least 4 hours prior to going to sleep. I prefer to exercise in the morning. I've already done my exercise this morning, but if you have to exercise, make sure you exercise at least 4 hours early, because early to going to bed, because the exercise creates heat. Remember, melatonin does not secrete in the heat. So, and also, the exercise also creates endorphins. It's a stimulant, so you don't want that. So exercise 4 hours prior to going to sleep. So then the P is powering off your mind. So in the acronym, you're moving along. This is important. You're giving you a chance. You don't have your cell phone. You're calming your body a little bit, and now you're laying in bed, so you don't have that access. The cell phone is like it's a kryptonite. It's close to you, right? You don't have you don't have it near you now. So I teach two techniques. It's called vivid imagination. Vivid imagination is, your sleep is an abstract, but what we do, we take reality to the bed. We think about the problems, the bills, all. But here, if you watch a show, I want you to be the creator of the show. Or if you're a coach, if you're a teacher, I want to think about the futuristic things, what you're planning to do. So you're not taking reality into your bedroom, you're forming the abstract. So the next technique I teach is called yoga nidra, where you lay down as a corpse. You keep your palms up and think about nothing. Nidra means nothingness in Sanskrit. So once you you have to let go, but you cannot let go. If you have your phone and if you have exercise, you can't. See, we want sleep to be an on and off switch, but sleep is contrary to the counter culture. I mean, to the hustle culture. You can't hustle your way into sleep. You can data mine your way into sleep. You have to ease into sleep. We want it to be an on and off switch, but remember, sleep is a dimmer. So we have done P. Now NO, no to worries in bed. So I tell people, we all worry. I tell everybody to worry, but worry outside the bedroom, 6 to 8 p.m. That's what I do in my life. I was preparing for your show. I'm done yesterday. I checked all the stuff, but if I can't do anything, I write it down for the next day. I'm not going to bring it to my bed. So that's no to worries. And the last one is win by losing yourself into sleep. I have many people having this ritual, that ritual, and all that stuff. It's very simple. You have to work your way. So win by losing and keeping your schedule. Very, very simple. So this is my Sleep Now acronym. I've been perfected it for the last, it has taken me 25 years to perfect this, and I'm sharing it with the world. It works on me. It works on my family. It works on my patients. I have hundreds of patients to put through this, and it's a win-win. But to the culture we live in is we want it fast, so we can do that. So SLEEP, schedule, low light, low noise, no to electronics, no to exercise 4 hours, powering off your mind, no to worries, and win by losing. That's my magic skill.
Well, I know with a book that size and with as much experience as you have, and you're focused on it, which is just great. A lot of people have got to have had some great experiences. Are there any that come to mind you'd like to share with us about how it has worked for somebody and changed?
Yeah, we'll take an example of perimenopausal women. and I will name her Lou. She was 53. I mean, so she wanted to drink some tea because she felt like tea is important. And she was waking up at night to use the restroom, and she was beginning to snore a little bit. And then she had little, cramps in her legs. She was pacing around. So this may be all subtle signs, but when you add each one, it's
Mhm.
she was drinking tea. Tea has got still caffeine in it, and tea is a diuretic. She was waking up. So I tell her,
Mhm.
hey, drink your favorite tea in the morning, not like 8 o'clock at night. And then she was having frequent, urination. So I made her check the urine. She had a little bit of urinary tract infection. Women in perimenopausal, what happened? The estrogen slows down the movement of the urine. It kind of slows the ureters or the urine passage, and you risk. So we treated her UTI, and she was snoring a bit. She didn't know, hey, I don't have sleep apnea. Well, you're perimenopausal. The great hormone estrogen has left you, so you're at risk. The estrogen is the greatest. All my research in pulmonary showed how wonderful estrogen is for women. That's why I never saw very sick women in the young women in the ICU, unless it's an extraordinary situation. But that's the reason why it is an anti-inflammatory. It protects women. So we diagnosed her with sleep apnea, and she also had this condition called restless legs. She was moving in the evening. So as a very simple treatment, you just it's a low iron was the cause of her restless
Oh,
leg, just by supplementing iron. So change the tea, diagnose sleep apnea, treated the urinary tract infection, and replace iron. Her sleep, she was hardly sleeping 3.5 hours. Now she's at 5.5 hours. I gave her like 2 more hours just by knocking a few things around. How wonderful it is! And so that is a
great.
classic, perimenopausal women with multiple little problems, which adds to the bigger problem. So there we are. That's
Well,
my
you covered a lot of things that bother me.
yes,
And one of them is that not enough doctors really know much about nutrition and how
yes,
it plays a part. It, and
yes.
you would think that's such a little thing, but it means that you have to do the blood work, you have to ask good questions, you have to know something about health. I'm really impressed. I really appreciate your coming and sharing this vital information. I do believe that we'd have a lot less anxiety and people would be nicer to each other if we could just sleep better.
Yes, Pat, that's why I wanted to write this book, because we heal in our sleep. I mean, you are a
Yes.
totally different, I'm a totally different person every morning. I wake up, I'm energized. I've discovered this power. Once you have this power, we need to heal. We are in this hyped up, but we're going in the wrong direction how to approach sleep. We are hustling our way. Everybody's wearing all these devices, and that's the number
Right.
one cause of a consult to me, because now you have the data, you don't know what to do with it. So I'm not so so sleep is spiritual. It's simple but complicated, but you can get it in the hustling. You can't do it. You can hustle, build up muscle, you can hustle your way into corporate America, but this one you got to turn off. And then, but once you turn off and discover, you become a better student, you become a better human being, you're more tolerant, you become more creative. Sleep is the foundation on which fitness and health is built. It's like the foundation on the fitness and workout and nutrition is all built on. So when you sleep better, you make better choices about diet. The leptin, ghrelin hormones are altered. So that's a separate topic. We have so much to cover, but I want everybody to discover the superpower sleep. It is actually free. It's simple. It's within you. You just have to work it, not hustle it, but gently. You have to have a cadence and rhythm to it. It's like a golf swing. It has to be smooth. You can't like whack it. It will never come in. So that's my message to the world, and that's what I want to share. And I'm passionate about it. I want to share all my life experience
Thank you
to
so much. I'm
everyone.
thinking there are probably people that are thinking up oodles of other questions they'd love to ask you. You're welcome to write your questions and send them to womensradio@gmail.com. I would strongly suggest that you get Dr. Bajoy's new book that is just out. And it sounds to me like most of the answers are in the book. But I would love for you to come back. You were talking about other things that you would love to talk about. And I have a feeling our audience would really like to hear more. So thank you for coming today and being with us. And I hope you'll return and give us more good information.
Yes, Pat, thank you. And I really appreciate it. And for folks, just check out my website, sleepfixacademy.com. And I'm Dr. Bijoy John. And thank you. And hopefully you've written it and implemented the sleep strategies and sleep well and be well. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Bijoy.
Thank you.